We start this one in an incredible way. Steve Dyer, this is Heartland. And if that's got your soul moving, we're about to have a very soul moving conversation because we are joined this morning on the Move with Steve Dyer in studio. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. Yeah, sun is shining today, right?
Yes.
Fantastic, D. Steve, it's great having you in the studio. I feel like we are going to transcend different eras of the jazz discography with you in South Africa because you've kind of experienced multiple areas of the South African jazz scene. So thank you for coming to our studios.
Are you commenting on my age?
Maybe on your musicality.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Let's talk a little bit about Steve Dyer. How did you pick up an instrument? I think at times we love the final product. We love hearing you on an album and how it sounds. But when you got that inspiration to pick up that horn, when was the first time that you discovered that, you know what, this is something that's going to be precious and it's going to be something close to me for many, many years?
At school, at junior school, I sang in a choir.
Ah, you sang?
Yeah, I sang in the choir, and that was when I was about 8, 9. And I've loved music ever since. So I've been blessed in the sense that I never thought, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And so after junior school, I went to high school at Michael House. And there I saw in the curriculum that they had music as a subject.
Wonderful.
And then I said to them, I want to do music. And they said, look, in the however 70 years that we've been in existence, there's been one person that's done music. So I said, okay, I'll be the second. And then I started, and so I had to look for an instrument and a teacher. And the teacher that I found played recorder.
Okay.
So I started off on recorder, and then I finished school, and then I went to university, and I was still playing recorder. And I started off my music degree playing recorder and cello.
Oh, wow.
And halfway through it, I said, no, man, saxophone and flute. And so I changed my instruments, and the horn has been with me ever since. In fact, the horn that I play, it's like... it's very old now.
How many years do you think?
Like 40-something years
Wow.
old. Yeah.
Okay. And did you buy it or did you get it passed on to you? What happened with that horn?
No, my parents saw the interest and they managed to buy it for me.
All right, let's not reveal your age.
But speaking about your parents, it really does speak about like the generational nature of music in your life from before and obviously into the future as well, because your parents also really loved music. You were in an environment where music was quite rich, and you could also pick up on a lot of elements of music in your surrounding areas. Speak to us a little bit about that time in your life when you were younger and how you were interacting with the music.
Well, my father used to listen, my father especially, and my mother as well, they used to listen to the Western classical masters like Bach, Mozart, Brahms, Tchaikovsky, Mahler.
Okay.
My father was a big fan of Mahler.
Okay, so
I don't know if you know
classic.
his works.
Yes.
It's like he did grand orchestral works
Sure.
with over 100 people in an orchestra. Anyway, so at that time, I also had a woman that was working for us, a domestic worker, and so I used to hear the Soul Brothers coming from that side of
the house.
Of the house. So it was like this colliding of different influences that has remained with me ever since. So I'm still colliding these things and trying to work out something that reflects my life as an Anglo-African.
I feel like your domestic worker is the dominant one here.
Well, I suppose so, because we had challenges in terms of identity that we still do in this country.
Sure.
And so my mother was an activist. She was in the Black Sash.
Okay.
She was in She did adult literacy classes. So she was really my moral compass. And so I was always very aware of the problems within the apartheid system. And she never said, she always said to me, she always guided me, because I used to come home from school with some, clouded and dirty thoughts that were the order of the day then.
Sure.
And she used to set me right. And so I was very clear that, look, I'm an African of a special type, but an African nonetheless.
Yes.
And when I left the country, that was in 1982, I went to Botswana, and at that time Ntate Jonas Gwangwa was there.
Okay.
And soon after that, Brahu Masekela came to town. So then I was schooled in Marabi, really.
Oh,
And
wow.
before that, I remember at high school, I'd gone to a dollar brand at that time, Abdullah Ibrahim concert. And so I was aware. And then my brother-in-law was very involved with jazz music. He was a journalist writing about the music.
Wow.
And he used to take me up to Michael House and back again. And he used to school me in a whole lot of different groups like Weather Report and Charles Mingus, all of these jazz people, Miles Davis, John Coltrane. So I became aware of them at that kind of time.
Yeah, that's a multi-hued array of influence, right? That's coming at a young man at the same time.
It is.
But you were able to distill that and formulate your own identity in that. And we'll speak a little bit about that after the break, because I think you've done that very well. You can hear a Steve Dyer tune from very, very far around the corner. You're like, no, that's Steve Dyer. So we'll chat a little bit about how you were able to distill all those influences and create your own sound. It's 20 minutes past 11 o'clock Central African time with Steve Dyer.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet, Channel 628. AUSISA, the Association of Water and Sanitation Institution of South Africa, is a platform uniting Africa's water professionals. This November, Africa leads the conversation on water and sanitation. Join global and African leaders at the AUSISA Africa and Global South Dialogue 2025 from the 9th till the 12th of November at the Emperor's Palace, Johannesburg. From policy innovation, this is where action meets collaboration for a water-secure future. Register today at ausisa-watersan-dialogue.org or follow at AUSISA on social media. AUSISA, working together for sustainable water and sanitation security in Africa. Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
Hey, we're speaking to award-winning Steve Dyer, South African pride, definitely. Broke so many of the conventions of what we thought were the limitations of what reflected South African jazz music. You say, a white guy, like, hey, he's playing jazz at a very kind of early time and period. And what makes Steve Dyer actually someone who is distinct for me is that he wasn't only just paving his own way throughout his career. I feel like your career has always been cemented by collaborating, creating groups. Also, I feel like now you're also in an era that gives to the next generation of jazz musicians. Let's talk a little bit about that nature of yours to collaborate. I mean, you've always worked in band formations and super groups in a way, because I've never seen you play in a trio or something like that. You usually play in kind of like plus 4, 5 bands, and even more, I think, in how your sound is actually. I feel like you're a group musician. You love that group dynamic. Tell us a little bit about how you found yourself working in groups, and also how that also has defined your way of expressing yourself.
I think if you look at the Marabi tradition and the traditions of Southern African music, or South African, it often involves big groups, because there's vocals, there's horns, there's a whole lot of elements coming on. And for me, African music, often it's defined by the interplay of the music. And often in like traditional jazz from the US, the rhythm section will lay down a bed, and then a soloist will improvise on top. And what interests me is the interplay of the instrument is almost like a conversation between a group of people. And Africa by its nature is communal.
Yeah.
And hence, yes, there are elements that I've explored in terms of getting those different sounds together. And there I go again to the kind of influence that I got when I was in Botswana, because there was really heavy times, you know, and very musical times. But there was also a low intensity war going on. And so the music always had a social message for me. But at the same time as playing the marabi, I was also listening to John Coltrane. I was listening to Charlie Parker. I was saying, okay, the marabi's there, but what next? What now? And that meant me really working on the horn.
Yes.
And so to the point now where maybe you'll hear me playing more in quartet situations, as well as duo situations. So and also it's a economic thing where things are not so easy now in terms of being able to tour with big bands. The problems with musicians earning now, you know, you can't sell CDs and earn a whole lot now. People are streaming. You know, no matter how many streams you get, you're not going to get a lot of money. So I think economic factors also play a role in the fact that often now people are turning towards stripped down music. But my feeling is that if you play a track with 13 people on stage, you should also be able to play it with 2 people on stage.
And let's speak about that, because that speaks into your adaptability. For someone who started music at a very different era, you've been through various eras, and you've seen, you know, the record era, and then we went into the CD era, the cassettes, and now the streaming. But it doesn't just speak to how we're selling and consuming music, but also how people have changed how they consume music. And throughout those different eras, how do you make sure that your sound continues to be adaptable and for that era? Because no matter how authentic we want to be, we still have to grasp the audiences of the time.
Our generation has betrayed yours. So you know, we had dreams when we were fighting against apartheid about how life could be. And now we're in a situation where a lot of those dreams have been dashed. And so for me, the hope is in the young, is in young people. Now I've got kids, and I run a studio, and at that studio there are a lot of the young voices coming through, as well as my son Bokani's, you know, doing very well in music.
We're about to speak about your son.
Okay.
Let's focus on you now.
Sure. But because of the studio setup and everyone coming in there, like, you know, there's CM Tembu that'll come in from The Brother Moves On. There'll be other, you know, Sia Makuzeni maybe will be coming through.
Sakile
Muleshe, there'll be Shane Cooper. You know, there'll be a whole lot of artists, Titi Luzipo, all of them. And then, you know, our studio is kind of like a home where it's more than just a studio, but there's an exchange. And so I learn from the younger generation, and I hope they learn from me. I think they do, because they respect, well, they pretend to respect what I'm saying in conversation. And I don't want to be yesterday's man. I'm always looking forward to how new things can develop. So I recognize that, you know, one of the success stories in the new South Africa is the way that the young musicians have come up. Because I remember, like 20 years ago, I recorded Son of the Soil. And conceptually, it was very hard for me to find musicians that could tap into that and execute. But now you look at the young musicians, like drummers, bass players, they're looking all over. They can play rhythms from all over Africa,
Yes.
as well as from further afield. So we're becoming a more globalized village, and I don't want to become a grumpy old man.
And
So,
that's the
yeah.
thing. It really does prove that you're not yesterday's man, because even in today's world, you continue to win awards and, hold on to the crown. Let's speak about some of your recent awards, the South African Music Awards. You're still being seen as someone who is competitive in today's environment.
Yes, well, let's look at the word competitive or competition. That comes from the word competere, or the phrase in Latin, which means to seek together. So, I think I had 6 nominations before I got this award in 2024.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm happy for the validation, and yes, it's good that it's not Steve Dyer from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I know. And I always find that I'm continually composing, I'm continually working. It's just in my nature. But I think we must look at competition in a healthy way, and not look on it as something that it's me against you, especially in a creative space.
Exactly.
Because, in as much as I made that music, I made it with other people. They all contributed their voices to the thing. And so it's a collective thing that we mustn't get into this thing of, a competition and dog eat dog kind of world. That's what
Absolutely.
we don't want.
Yeah, we're speaking to Steve Dyer. We're going to go to take a bit of a break, and we'll speak a little bit about your world of composition, because I know you live in that world very much so. Because at times, most of the time, we hear, as I said earlier, on the final product. But I'm sure composition is constant. It's happening in the background. It's happening with others. It's happening when you by yourself. And also the next generation, what do you think is going on right now in the music? Because jazz is actually one of those things that we've transferred to the next generation, and they're holding it preciously and doing some wonderful work there. But right now, let's quickly move on and let's get our sports update. It's 11:30 Central African time.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
In our sports update, we kick off with rugby news. The Springboks can regain their number 1 world ranking just 7 days after losing it. Rassie Erasmus's men dropped from first to third after last weekend's shock 38-22 loss to the Wallabies at Ellis Park, with Ireland moving up to second and the All Blacks reclaiming top spot. According to World Rugby's ranking permutations, the Boks now have a chance to bounce straight back to number 1, but they'll need help. The world champions must beat the Wallabies in Cape Town on Saturday and hope Argentina stun the All Blacks in Buenos Aires by more than 15 points. If that happens, South Africa and New Zealand will swap places. Now, cricket news. 2027 Cricket World Cup Local Organizing Committee Board Chairperson Trevor Manuel has urged the members to make sure the event is a memorable experience for everyone. Cricket South Africa announced a 15-member board, including 6 independent non-executive directors, 5 non-independent non-executive directors, and 3 ex-officio members. South Africa will host the bulk of the matches, while Zimbabwe and Namibia will also come in on a bit of a cameo role. Manuel says every sector has to work together to make this a success.
The success of the Cricket World Cup will largely be because the national government can bring all 3 spheres of government into play. It's fundamentally important because if you don't have the Transport Ministry involved, you don't have airports that function, you leave bad experiences for those who come and visit the country. If you don't have our police service properly engaged, our tourists are going to have very bad experiences.
Representing the Namibian government, Deputy Minister for Youth and Sport, Dino Baloti, says the whole country is excited to play a role. He also announced that the infrastructure is about to be completed and will leave a lasting legacy for sport in that country.
And I'm so proud to announce that our brand new, I want to call it a world-class stadia, is going to be completed. And that facility, which also hosts Namibia's first high-performance center, is a result of us co-hosting, I'm going to say co-hosting, the Cricket World Cup. And it's only with this event that we now can proudly host a world-class facility with a high-performance center that caters for many sport codes. And I think all Namibians are quite excited.
Let's tee off with golf news. Aston Arthur and Joandre Ludik will represent South Africa in 2 elite amateur golf events this November. First up is the Juan Carlo Tailhard Cup from the 6th to the 9th of November, where they'll aim to extend South Africa's streak of top 5 finishes. Then it's on to the Argentine Stroke Play Championship from the 12th to the 15th of November, with individual honors on the line. Arthur returns after last year's 4th place team finish, while Ludik makes his debut following a strong season in the Golf South Africa's rankings. Now, basketball news. Nigeria's senior men's basketball team, D Tigers, quest to emulate their ladies' crest last night as they lost 75-91 to Senegal in the quarterfinal of the 2025 AfroBasket Championship in Luanda, Angola. The loss effectively put paid to their dream of also winning the championship and getting rewarded bountifully with thousands of dollars, houses, and national honors back home. And so they will have to wait another 1 year before taking a shot at the continental title they have only won once in 2015. The drama of the earlier quarterfinals was Mali's 102-96 victory over Cote d'Ivoire, who had their hands on the semi-final ticket but lost it after overtime. The semi-final for the final ticket is Senegal against Mali. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Vue d'Afrique avec Joël Mouteba.
Cette peur d'un point de non-retour nucléaire suffit-elle selon vous à légitimer une telle offensive, Monsieur Talati?
Absolument pas du tout. Cela fait plus de 30 ans que l'Israël crie haut et fort sur les toits, où il veut se faire entendre que l'Iran serait à 1 an pour obtenir l'arme nucléaire. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 6 mois, parfois l'Iran serait à 2 semaines pour obtenir son arme nucléaire. Et curieusement, jusqu'à ce jour, il n'y a toujours aucune preuve que l'Iran a obtenu cette arme nucléaire en dépit des déclarations d'Israël et de certaines puissances parfois.
Vue d'Afrique. Du lundi au vendredi de 15h à 16h, temps universel.
All right, after that final sports bulletin with Fikile Lungwati, that's only for the morning. Let's bring back Nosipho Zuma for our latest in business.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Good morning. In your business news, the South African Democratic Teachers Union, SADTU, has criticized the Basic Education Department for failing to implement recommendations made in 2014 by a tasked team headed by Professor John Volmink on claims of ghost workers in public schools. SADTU has welcomed the Education Labour Relations Council, ELRC's appointment to conduct the physical verification of educators and pupils in schools across all 9 provinces to address these allegations. SADTU spokesperson Nomusa Qembi says they are pinning their hopes on ELRC to root out this corruption that has been troubling the sector for a long time.
We haven't taken that long to have this matter addressed. In 2014, there was a ministerial task team that was set up, headed by Professor Volmink. And as such, we testified before that Volmink Commission. The recommendations were made, but we do not know why the department has not done much to implement the recommendations from that. We believe that because the ELRC is the one tasked with doing this and not government officials who are already in the system, will do proper verification.
South Africa's Goldfields has raised its interim dividends as first half profit more than tripled from a year earlier, mainly driven by higher bullion prices and increased output. Goldfields' headline earnings rose to $1.027 billion in the 6 months to the 30th of June, compared with $320.7 million in the same period last year. The company declared an interim dividend of $0.3948 per share, up from $0.16942 per share in the first half of 2024. The Johannesburg-based miners' gold production rose 24% to 1.136 million ounces in the first half. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is holding bilateral talks with the Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. Says South Africa is open for trade with countries willing to invest here. He met Ishiba on the margins of Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Ramaphosa is advancing South Africa's presidency of the G20 and enhancing bilateral economic engagements with the government of Japan with a view to strengthening trade and investment ties between South Africa and Japan. He says South Africa welcomes anyone who invests in the country.
Japan has been in South Africa and investing in South Africa for years. And China has been our friend as well and is also investing. And we welcome both because both are beneficial to us. And we will never say, no, we love you better than we love the other one. We embrace both, and both must invest and deal with us to the extent that they can.
Elon Musk and his social media firm X have reached a tentative settlement with former employees who had sued for $500 million in severance pay. The parties have reported the deal in court filing on Wednesday, jointly requesting the U.S. Appeals Court in San Francisco to postpone an upcoming hearing to allow time to settle the paperwork. Some workers sued the company over their terminations and severance packages after some 6,000 staff, more than half of its workforce, were sacked as part of a cost-cutting measure after Musk took over the company in 2022. And finally, oil prices are a little changed today but are on track to snap a 2-week losing streak as hope for immediate peace between Russia and Ukraine dimmed, increasing the risk premium demand by oil sellers. Brent crude futures were down 4 US cents to $67.63 US a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate, which is the WTI crude futures, fell 1 cent to $63.51. Both contracts climbed more than 1% in the prior session. Brent has risen 2.7% this week, while the WTI has gained 1.1%. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 534. In Botswana is 13 Pula 39. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 32. And in Zambia is 23 Kwacha 29. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 Real 48. Russia is 80 rubles 48. India is 87 rupees or 4. In India, it's 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 68. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,333 and platinum at $1,344 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $67.59 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nusipo Soma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invitée du jour, la belle Aïna Mwenze. Elle est là, certaines l'appellent Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aïna. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business, comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me suis dit, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Hashtag on the move and connect with us.
It's a beautiful one, another beautiful one by Steve Dyer, Inyembezi, 11:45 Central Africa time. We continue with this incredible conversation we have with Steve in our studios this morning, and he's taking us through really a journey that he's been on. But obviously, I think most importantly is that he's still in the now. He's like here, and he functions like any other artist that's of this day, and also looks into the future in quite an aspiring way. Do you find that there's a lot of ageism when it comes to people and music, and thinking, okay, you should only, because you existed in another era, you shouldn't be existing in this era? And how do you make sure that you push past those stereotypes and say, look, as long as I'm alive, I'm here, and I'm enjoying the here and the now, the music, the life, and even the teachings, and I'm sure you still learn a lot of things to this day?
Yes, I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
You know, when people call me names, you know, there's certain names like Maestro and all that. Oh, I hate that stuff because you learn every day.
Sure.
But to answer your question, I've done Tai Chi, and I did it quite seriously for about 5 years, and I've still maintained the idea with it. And then I learned a lot of Tao philosophy, and that means living in the moment.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing, is that everything is temporary. So where this makes sense is that if I'm working on a project, like I've just been finishing this project called Multipolar.
Yeah.
And while I was doing it, the most important thing was that project. The most important thing. I would live, sleep, eat, breathe that thing.
Yeah.
Now that it's done, I'm thinking, what next?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not even out yet.
Yeah.
So it just shows. And I actually texted Tandi Ntuli, you know,
Yes.
she calls me her honorary musical father, and I'm so blessed for that, because she's a beautiful soul.
Cheers.
But I said, Tandi, isn't it funny that how you get so involved in something, and then when it's finished, and she said, yeah, I just know how you feel.
Yeah.
It's like that. So everything in life is temporary, and if you don't live in the moment, then you're not living to the fullest extent. And also I learned that I think I've learned more that life is more about the process, but rather than the outcome. And there's a philosopher, that Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius, that says the journey is the destination.
Nice.
So when you learn that the journey is the destination, you stop thinking of, okay, as long as I do this, and this is the important date that I'm working towards all the time, then you can relax and enjoy your life more from day to day.
Yeah, you've been part of the process of handing over the baton, and not a lot of musicians remain that were part of that transition. And I think you've been one who's been privileged to also be part of the mix of what's happening with this new youthful era of jazz. What are you seeing? And when you sit back and you're like, okay, this is where it's at now, what are you seeing there?
What I see is that the music of the day, like the contemporary improvised music, I think it's a reflection of a quest for identity. Because in as much as we say, look, apartheid happened 30 years ago, and it's time to move on and no more excuses. The thing is that the cultural the cultural marginalization was something that happened for so long, and now the youth are saying, hey, listen, this is us, we are proud, we are discovering things in what was largely an oral tradition, and we being able to reflect that. And so then young people are not faced with this thing of, is what we're doing valuable or not? They know it's valuable now.
Sure.
And I remember like at Cape Town Jazz Festival, International Jazz Festival, some US journalist came over, and he went to a Herbie Tswaidi concert, and the audience was singing the themes. Yes. And he was amazed. He says, man, this doesn't happen in the US.
Yeah.
And so you look at it increasingly that it's not just jazz. The audience is not separated from the musician. And so we depend on that energy that comes back from the audience. And so you find that South Africa is a beautiful place to play in, because it becomes a communal experience, and not just me on stage playing for you, and then after the song, a little polite clap.
Well, speaking about playing, you'll be performing at the Summer Award nominations, and you taking the stage for South African Music Awards. How connected do you still feel to that entire space and performing in those audiences?
Well, I don't think I'm performing live, but what happened was I've been working with this pianist, Teboho Kobedi.
Oh, nice.
And so, to answer your question, we did a duo recording where the for the SAMA nominations, they came and they recorded us playing the duo. And so they're going to project that. And I haven't seen it. I hope it sounds okay. So on the nomination day, they're going to be playing what we did in studio.
Yeah, and do you still get nervous to see it? Like, oh, I can't wait to see it. And when it does, do you still get those goosebumps? Is that they're still live? Those butterflies are there?
Yeah, of course. And then you think, hey, is my profile looking all right? Did they get the right camera angle?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Steve. It's been a lovely conversation. Thank you for joining us here in studio as well. It's been a wonderful conversation indeed.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well,
Wow.
it's